everybody. Will and Kristen, Shadow and Bone.
The Unsea.
Fade in.
On a girl.
No, that's fade in on a girl. So it's the tragic origin story of
The
Kirigan.
Darkling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not getting timestamps on anything. So, like, is this meant to be like, wait, his hair was long and her hair was not gray?
Yeah.
So is this meant to be like hundreds of years in the past?
Yeah. That was when he started the fold.
I thought the fold was relatively new.
No.
The way that
it's
they've
been for generations.
And they haven't figured out a way around that. I'm taking a couple issues with this series.
You're like, some of this is your fault.
I was under the impression it was like a generation.
No, they figured out how to get through it.
Kind of.
Sort of, but it's like not foolproof. And they specifically can't go around because they are in
neighboring territories
with both the countries.
For hundreds of years.
Yeah.
He was so rehash the origin story.
He was a Grisha, but
and
it was like
the king's.
Well, yeah, but it was like before a time when they were utilized the way they currently are, and so they were more like witches, like getting hunted down like witches.
Oh yeah, because his mother is the one that gave him the idea to like assimilate them into like an army.
Yeah.
So
well, she didn't mean to, but she did. And then basically, that's how you know it was generations, because he had to come back when at least one different king was in charge, or else they would have recognized him. So he had to like wait a couple generations so he wouldn't be recognized as who he is, especially after he made the fold, because that's bad. It was a pretty cool visual though. I liked the
oh yeah, they're not phoning that in.
No,
like they're not
great.
It was really cool. So his girlfriend was a healer and she got killed.
Yep.
And so is he, well, I mean, I was like, is he more sympathetic than this, or is this already, I guess this was his case.
Yeah.
It was more.
He is a bad guy.
Okay.
That's why I keep saying I have no integrity, because it's like, he's the villain. He is the bad guy. And I think the thing about him is that thing that so many people say when they play villains, where it's like, the villain doesn't know they're the villain. The villain believes they're the hero in their own story. So he believes he's doing something that will be good overall, but it's not. It's just not. And now he's like, not necessarily corrupted, but he's like stolen Alina's power with the antlers, which I hate.
It was so cool. I don't understand. You think a plain necklace was cooler?
No, it's not a plain necklace. And she also can't take it off. It's like welded to her, but it's not in her skin.
Yeah, if anything, I kind of wish it was like more.
Yeah, that's how it's described, where it's like the part that he puts here, like where they're attached, is in the back, and then they like go like this. Like sort of like an Elizabethan collar.
Well, I mean, that might be cooler, but I think the like welded into her, because I mean they were establishing that earlier. That's why I've been so obsessed with like putting the bone inside people.
Yeah.
They've been saying it the whole time, so I knew something was coming.
I guess that's on me for not, but that's not how it was like presented at all. Do you understand now why I thought maybe the stag's antlers were too big? Because in the book, it's also implied that it's like all of the antlers are her necklace, but that would be like, whoosh. And it's not like that. So
because you were very kind of the whole time you were kind of like, I don't know. And then David was like holding the thing, and you're like, oh, okay. And then he like was like, and you were like, oh no. And I was like, what is happening? Like, I thought it was neat.
It's not my favorite. I guess I like that it's like a different thing than I've ever seen before.
I was gonna say I certainly like the concept of it slightly more than in the execution.
I just in that case, without spoiling anything, I still have concerns going forward. So.
I'm just glad to get her out of that stupid coat. I understand the coats, but it was like she's in a proper dress now.
Yeah.
And she has a neck and like a décolletage. And
well, she has to, with that fucking shit protruding out of her skin.
And then he has a bit of it in his hand, and so it allows them to.
That's also different, because in the book, he does kill the stag, but then it just is only amplifying her power. There's no connection to him so he can't steal her power, but it is still so he can use her.
I thought that was rude.
Yeah.
I thought it was really rude. The stag was great. We love a an innocent,
a gentle beast
heroine, caressing the face of a gentle giant beast.
You are all in my camera. Oh yeah, Fairy Tale by Fairy Tale. Also, just go watch Legend.
There are so many things. Well, I was intentional in putting it in Fairy Tale because it is a trope.
Right.
But there's a lot of things. If you like this show, I've got a book for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they came in and somebody shot it, so it got to writhe around in terror on the ground for a while before he then cut its head off. And I'm less mad about the cutting its head off because that was fucking quick.
It
was pretty cool. He also decapitated a bunch of those dudes early on, and that was I like the cut. It's really interesting.
The soldiers in the past, yeah.
But yeah, so rip Magic Deer. I swear, it's like a commentary on humanity.
I'm gonna go ahead and warn you now, should we get a season 2, to just not get attached to any mythical beasts.
Any of the mythical beasts? Is there like a mythical peacock that
there's a bird.
They yank its tail off? Yeah, it was a little traumatizing. Not too much. I'm not trying to put people, well, I mean, if you're at this point.
If you're this deep in, I mean, I feel like you're probably good.
I'm not being precious. I was fine, but I was kind of
Yeah.
I really liked the scene with Kaz and Inej. We love a come to Jesus talk.
Yeah.
Those are always,
literally.
Yeah. Those are always fun. I like that's one of the things that I'm with this show being obsessed with creating a word for everything. As we frequently say, mercifully, they are allowed to just say saints.
Yeah, and it's just saints, yeah.
That's graspable, and it's also familiar, but still being sort of abstract. I like that. I like the implications of it, and I like it conjures like a mythos, which is one of my favorite things, is the world building of this stuff.
He was like, you were right, that she's real.
Well, he's like, she's magic, and she's like, what do you believe in? And he was like, I believe in me and you, and I don't know. It was like a halfway. It was like one of those things where I don't exactly remember.
He was like, I don't believe in the saints, but I could tell that she was not doing a trick. It was real. And so he was like, I believe in the things that I can that I have my own faith in. And I really liked that, because she also was like, you have to, you've named us after these vengeful, the crows, after these vengeful animals. And he was like, they also recognize people who were kind to them. And that's
crows are smart.
Very smart.
They are smart fuckers. And they're actually also really funny.
Yeah.
Because crows are the ones that learned commerce. They figured out that you could buy stuff with money. So they started bringing leaves to vendors in exchange for treats.
And they like shiny things too. So they'll bring you a shiny thing if they like you. And there was that episode of 911 where they kept Chimney's name tag and gave it back to him. That was obviously fake, but they'll do things like that.
I want to go back and watch the first episode again now that I know who everybody is. Because I'm like, I don't exactly remember the nature of Kaz and Inej's relationship.
It's mostly just friends.
But he's borrowed her.
Yeah, so he's paying off her debt to Helene. But it's not in a sex way. He's not paying her for sex.
But Helene is, because she does not want to go back.
Go back to the menagerie is what they call it.
Which that's fun.
Yeah.
But the term menagerie. Not the
actual
unwilling
brotheling,
human trafficking, sex slavery. That's not. But he's ready to throw in the towel. That's right.
He's like, well, that's it. We're gonna just go back to Ketterdam, and whenever they get across the fold, he's letting Inej go wherever she wants, and he's not gonna force her to go back to Ketterdam.
We have Jenya's betrayal. It was obviously a little bit more complex than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the king has been raping her since she was 11. So that's part of it. And this was the finest point they've put on that so far. Even I feel like they're really dancing around it in a way that you can say the thing.
Some places they go for it and some places they do not.
So she was given to the queen, and then obviously because she's been working on her appearance for so long, the king is enamored of her, and he's just been and she even was I fought back for a while and it didn't work, so I just kept letting it happen. And Alina was in the right in the situation, because she was we're all just Kirigan's pawns. You don't actually have any power. You could have broken out of this. You could still break out of this.
Her powers aren't wartime powers, though.
No.
I mean, deception is probably like seduction best.
Yeah.
Deception worst. And also, I mean, at a certain point, it's called Stockholm Syndrome. I'm not sure she would even know what it's the whole Sansa and Arya debate where we say, like, you know, everybody loved Arya and loved to shit on Sansa. And it's like, you know, they couldn't survive each other's predicament.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I've even made the point that, like, especially after a little while, I believe Sansa could have more easily survived in Arya's situation.
And Arya could have never.
Arya could not have, you know, subjugated herself to get through that. And that's one of the things I like the best about Sansa. And so it's like, unfortunately, there's not like a ton more of Jenya. We get her a couple more times, a little bit, but there's not like a ton more of her. So we don't get a lot of depth from that. Maybe we will in the show because it's easier to, like, you know, show something like that.
Well, because she was the one not sending, like messing with the mail.
Yeah.
And that's in the book?
I think so. Now that we saw it, I think that's correct. Yeah.
I hope there's more Jenya if the show continues, because it gave me a like Fall on the Sword vibe where I was like, I feel like she's going to overcorrect in in episode 8.
So I'm only about halfway through book 2, so I can't speak to that. But yeah,
I hope that's not the case, because she was an interesting character and had a visual identity. Yeah. That the show could use a little bit more of.
I do love that. She's finally been like promoted, so she's got the red kefta now.
Yeah, the white was great.
And the white was great, but I just did love that she was like, I never have liked the red. It clashes with my hair.
Well, we haven't really... I haven't taken note of the white. Has there been a lot of the white? Because if anything, I thought the white was special.
Well, it is, but it's like lower.
Yeah.
She was only in the white because she served the queen. All the queen's maidens are in white.
We finally met the single most pivotal character in the show. It's the cabbage.
Yeah. I can't. It was like so distracting to me. Mal and Kirigan were having this intense conversation about which one of them is more right for Alina. And like, you know, they were both making points. I get both their points, but I could not focus on the scene because every single shot of Ben Barnes had this cabbage, like right here on like a shelf.
But it wasn't like just the one shot. It was like every shot. The cabbage was right here.
From different angles. It looked like it had its own key light on it. I was like, this
No, it did. Insane. It was kind of, it was like, it was giving me Charles from Patrick H. Willems.
Yes.
Like I wanted to put googly eyes on it.
Yeah, it was, and I was just like, Ben, you know, Kirigan's best friend, the cabbage. And it was also like the most perfectly formed head of cabbage. It was, I mean, so distracting. So I guess at the end of that conversation, Kirigan just was like, I don't have to kill you because you'll die. A human death, and she and I will still be alive no matter how long it takes for her to forgive me. It'll happen. And I do love that about him. Like, I love when immortal characters have that conversation, because it's like, it happened a decent amount in True Blood where it's like, well, I haven't seen her in 500 years. Maybe she's over the time I like left her to the mob or whatever. And I like that, because it is very true, where it's like, if you're the only ones that are still alive, you're going to naturally gravitate to each other regardless of the betrayals of the past, because you're the only people who know each other.
And then Mal escaped with the help of one of those good old-fashioned goat bullets.
He like put the bullet in his cuffs and
I understood the mechanics of it. I didn't understand how the bullet got into his hand. That's where I was like...
But I think it was Milo, too. It looked the same.
Was it? Okay.
I don't know how it got from the barmaid to the...
Yeah, I assumed I was like little goat, but so maybe it was just like for us, because I was like, he didn't recognize him, but I was like, it was...
Well, Mal wouldn't either.
Jesper was the one that had him.
Yeah.
So Jesper and Inej and Kaz are on the ship. It's called... Skiff.
Yeah. That's a legitimate sailing term, skiff.
Okay. They travel on sand.
Yeah, well, no. Skiff is like just a type of boat. It's like, there's an Arrested Development where Job is like trying to take the boat, and he's like shouting all kinds of stuff to the like guy, and he's like, you can't, blah, 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 whatever. And he goes, but skiff is appropriate, correct?
So they're going into the fold?
Yep. Yeah, and that's where we broke, because they're trying to, Kirigan is trying to make Alina do her thing again. He did say destroy the fold, and I know for a fact that's not what he's trying to do, so I'm not sure if he's just trying to keep up appearances, but they were the only two there when they were talking about it, so I don't know. We'll see.